All right, welcome to another Alovéa Pros podcast. And this one is exciting because Krista, what's tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow?
Thanksgiving.
It's
Turkey.
Thanksgiving. It's Turkey Day. I'm so excited. Krista and I have been trying to actually set this up, and we finally are here. Turkeys are running away from us like mad, but it was fun because Krista, I just did a pros podcast with somebody in Adelaide, Australia, and I asked them if they'd ever had an American Thanksgiving before, and they said no. So, in case they're watching this or a bunch of our international viewers are watching, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side? Obviously, the main dish is the turkey, but what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
I am a stuffing / dressing gal, depending on
Okay.
where you live.
Yeah. Depending that. Oh, you just really confused people internationally now. They're like, wait, dressing? Isn't that for the salad? Okay, we're gonna have to do a follow-up podcast just to answer that one. But Krista, it's an honor to be here with you tonight, and I am so excited because I know you're a nurse, and it's one of those things that people choose to do in life that you have to have this special, unique heart. I know it's such a challenging, kind of world to be in. And I think people that don't really understand or maybe haven't been through the challenges understand what it takes to be a nurse. And so can you share with people, you're in Minnesota. How did you get started and why did you choose to follow this path in life?
My aunt was a nurse. My grandma always wanted to be a nurse, but it didn't work out for her. And so my plan was to always be a nurse.
Hmm.
And initially I was going to join the Navy, become a nurse. Well, then I started my family very young, almost right out of high school, got married and started my family. So jumped in. I've been in the medical field for next year will be 35 years.
Wow.
I know, right? And so I love it. And it's just something that I think it's just what I was meant to do.
I love
I
that.
don't really have a why. It's just, that was my calling.
Well, I think that's even more powerful too, right? When somebody can connect to like, this was my calling. This is what I was meant to do, which is so powerful. And 35 years in the field of nursing, you've seen changes. How have things changed over the last 10, 5, 2 years?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm old school nurse. I like paper charts and phone calls and home visits. Like I used to go to with the doctors to people's homes to treat them. And that is not a thing anymore. Pandemic changed so many things. And a lot of nursing changed with that as well. I just focused. I went from family medicine to I was in psych med for a while, which was
Wow.
interesting,
Yeah, I can imagine.
and found my way into now in plastic surgery and specifically working with cancer patients, reconstructive patients, and that is where my heart is at. My mom is no longer with us. She had cancer. My dad passed also. He had cancer. So I just feel that's where my heart is. And I found my happy place after
You're kind of connected.
35 years.
Yeah.
And so I just found where I think I'm supposed to be.
Well,
But
that's beautiful. That's powerful
and
story.
so, but in that, I've found going from more kind of broad care to more focused care. Nursing has changed. It used to be all the doctors and all the nurses, it was you did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone is specialized. So you can focus in more on what you want to specialize in and you can get really good at what you do.
Well, that's fascinating. And you found that niche for you, which is, I think, and it ties into your whole family experience, which is incredible.
Yeah, I do love it.
Well, I love you said earlier, though, you're old school. So we have a lot of student athletes and student athlete Alovéa pros as well. So when you're talking about using paper and notes and phone calls, we could probably do a podcast to educate some of those old tools, right? I'm sure it's changed a whole lot, but you were, so you've got this career. It's been through a lot of changes. You found your niche. You're in your happy spot around making an impact in people going through such a challenging recovery. How you were introduced to this company, Alovéa. You're an Alovéa Pro, but at first you didn't know about it. So how were you introduced to this company?
was introduced by a friend of mine, Mindy Hockadal. You know her well.
Mm-hmm.
And she lives down the road from me. After I had a very traumatic surgery outcome, it did not go as planned. Because I have cancer in my family, I chose to have a hysterectomy and I'm not a radical breast reduction. And my hysterectomy did not go well. And I ended up staying in the hospital for a few days, and they postponed the second half of the surgery, the breast surgery, and said it's going to be months before you can have that because your body needs to recover. And so while I was home recovering, Mindy reached out and she said, I'm having a physician come talk about this product that I found. And if you're up to it, would you want to come? And at that point, I was stir crazy. It had been 10 days or so, and I just needed to get out of my house.
Wow.
And my husband took me down there. I went down there and I probably looked a mess, but I heard about Alovéa. I heard about Ace Mannin, and I heard specifically what drew me, because I worked with a lot of wounds in this post-surgical care, is this doctor said that he was adding this to these non-healing wounds to a gel and covering them, and they were healing in just this really short amount of time. Nothing like, she talked about focus and she talked about other things, but that was the one that hit me. And I went, oh my goodness. And it wasn't even about me at that point. It was just like a doctor saying this. And it's, because sometimes you hear things and you're like, but when a physician is, and I saw pictures of like day 0 and day 14 and day 30. And I went, this is real.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, it's worth a try. So I started with a couple of products that Mindy recommended that I try
because you're still in major recovery mode yourself.
I am still
right?
in major recovery. My hemoglobin.
I find amazing because this is like a nurse's attitude, right? You're going through your own surgery, you're recovering, you're at this, you hear something and you're thinking about your other patients, not about yourself. So, but the first reaction was them, but now you're thinking, oh, maybe I could try this and see what.
Absolutely. So the betalains in the Limitless that can help rebuild your own blood cells and help your body do that. So I started on the Limitless. I started on the Immune that has the Ace Mannin in it, just to help your stem cells rebuild themselves. And in what the doctor said, that might be a couple of months before I was healthy enough to possibly go through surgery again. I went in for my checkup, and in 2 weeks, my labs improved. And so I was able from April to May to have my second surgery. And I know, and I healed tremendously. Like, the second surgery was nothing. Like, I thought I'd be wiped out even more just having a second surgery within such a short amount of time.
Wow.
No,
That
it's
is
fantastic.
Well, and they always say, like, when you can put your body in the right environment to do what it needs to do, it knows what to do. But you're really talking about advanced food technology with Alovéa. But you come from this scientific, background, this medical background, and like you talked about, hearing it from a doctor helped you do that. But what was your, like, then you were experiencing yourself. You weren't reading the research. You weren't going through that. You're seeing what your body was going through. Like, what impact did that have for you?
I had people asking what I was doing, and just being able to share kind of the I don't know original, really, I'm just doing this stuff. And because it was so very new to me at the moment, and that was exciting for me. And then just, I have 5 grandkids, and they would come over. And
you did start young, because you do not look like you have 5 you just threw me off. Hold on, back up. You have 5 grandkids?
I do. Wow. The youngest is 2.5 and the oldest just turned 16.
Okay. You're blowing my mind as you go here. Okay. So you've got 5 grandkids.
And so they come over, and, they have their journey and all of the things. But in talking with their parents, I'm like, try this, because they're always sick. But it was also how I felt around them, was because it was like, better not come over. I don't want to get sick. I can't take it to my patients who are on chemo, all the things. And you always got to, you work in healthcare, you have little kids around, there's always something. I haven't been sick with anything
Wow.
in a year and a half.
And you're living in Minnesota.
And I live in
I'm not
Minnesota.
saying Minnesota people get sick, but it does get cold. I don't know if there's any correlation, but I
Well,
think
we're
you're
all
right with all
trapped.
the
We're all
kids.
trapped inside with our germs, so I think that's probably part of it. But
Yeah.
I'm still amazed at how good I feel, and I feel healthier and more energized now with all of these products on board than I did 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm.
And that's amazing. Like I can't,
That is a powerful story.
there is nothing. And then the summer when the OptiPack came out, things have changed and people are asking, what is going on? Because I added the core in, and again, I work in plastic surgery. We have estheticians and injectors and that in our office as well. And they're like, what's going on here? You're losing your little baggy skin here. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it's the colostrum and the collagen and the core and, all of the good things.
It's amazing what can happen when you make these small shifts in life.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is so interesting because you are a sponsored Alovéa Pro. So this company has a special program where they sponsor coaches, trainers, athletes, and healthcare professionals. And you were introduced to this in a way when you were going through your own crisis and recovery. So you were really just looking for your own health. And it could have stayed there. You could have just been a customer for life and supported Mindy and been very proud to be feeling better. But you also kind of raised your hand and said, you know what, I want to be sponsored by this company. Why did you go from like customer and the product changing your life to saying, you know what, I'm going to put my name, my reputation, and kind of hang it into connect it to this company?
Because I have so many patients that are immune compromised, that are struggling, that are wiped out, and they are, I see some of these people multiple times a week for care, and they're like, I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything and I'm done, and if all I can say is I have this you could look at, and if you don't want to, that's okay. But I think it will help you, and I don't feel there isn't a tiny, there's nothing in me that says it would be bad for you, because
right.
it is from food and it's not going to hurt you. It can't, if you want to take it to your doctor and ask if if it's going to interact with anything, do that. But I would beg to differ that they're going to find anything that would counteract any of what they're taking.
Well, it kind of gives you that confidence that you can say, because also somebody can say no, but I remember I met somebody once oddly enough, at a Christmas party, as we're going through this holiday theme of our Thanksgiving into Christmas, but they were in such discomfort. They were kind of like, oh, if somebody told me to put peanut butter on my back, I would do it. And I'm like, well, I don't know if anybody would tell you to do that, but as simply saying, you know what, maybe, give this a try. And you're living proof of that, right? Because you were at a meeting where you're just at a friend's house with doctors talking about this, and it kind of shifted that life. So, I think what's interesting being a nurse, because obviously you have to have the heart to want to help people. You can see that that's a big part of your drive with this, to be able to at least offer it to somebody. Have you offered it to someone and seen the impact or difference in their life?
Believe it or not, sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. My husband, not even a patient.
Well, he's the hardest patient, probably.
I was gonna say, guys don't go to the doctor very often, but my husband had a traumatic brain injury in 2016 in a very bad accident. He struggles on the daily with, he's a very successful engineer. He works, but he struggles on the daily with finding words and sometimes with certain concentrations. And if he can take the easy way out, why wouldn't you? And he doesn't like to play games or cards, that type of thing. So he always jokes he doesn't play reindeer games on the holiday theme. And it's been a joke with his family. But we had some friends invite us over, and he's like, I don't want to. I said, well, just let's go. So we went once, and he had he had an okay time, but he's like, I don't know if I want to do that again. And the next time we were invited over, I said, try this. And he drank a Focus with the Ace Mannan in it. And all those lovely neurotransmitters were ignited. I've never seen him so excited.
Wow.
So now he's shaking that up every morning before work and going in, and it just amazes me. I know. And to see the difference in just that short amount of time, and to see that spark his joy again in just something as simple as playing a card game that would frustrate him before. And he took that one stick and how much difference it made in one night. He just got to enjoy that.
I think that's like one of the most powerful stories, though, in the sense that, because it is about real living, right? Mm-hmm. So that was taken away. And to think that something like Focus, which I love Focus, it's one of my favorite products. I take it every single day. And oh, you got it right there. I love that story. That's so powerful. Let me ask you this, because as we're turkeys are cooking here, we're thawing our turkeys. So I know we're gonna have to wrap up here in a minute. But being a nurse and with a bunch of grandchildren, this company is a social business. So for every product sold, it creates a matching serving of that Ace Mannan that helped you. Mm-hmm. That is also being donated to children in need. 63 million servings have now been donated. How does it impact you knowing that you're part of that as well? You're part of this movement that's not only helping your patients, helping your family, helping you, but also now every single product sales making a difference to children around the world. What did you think about when you first heard about that?
Well, who wouldn't want to help children? I mean, if I can, it helps me, and that's wonderful. But if I can buy a month's supply of this for my grandchild, and then it feeds someone else's and nourishes someone else's grandchild, like, how great is that? I mean, and the difference that it makes. And like I said, if it did that for my husband's brain, if there's someone else out there, some little one who is having issues with their concentration or their schoolwork, and it can ignite them, what are they going to be? Are they going to be the next engineer wherever they're at when they grow up because they were able to have some focus?
What a precious gift. I loved how you worded that. I loved how you linked the two together. That was so beautiful. Well, Krista, this was such a pleasure. This was such an honor to hang out with you. I know you're probably getting ready to make dressing or stuffing. And
one of the two.
We're going to confuse our international listeners, but everybody in America right now is totally screaming out which one is theirs, which I love that. But thank you so much. And everybody else, stay tuned for some upcoming Alovéa Pros. This one was fantastic. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you so much, Craig.